On a brightly lit stage, under the watchful eyes of the world's media, a vehicle appears. It has no steering wheel, no pedals. It looks like something from a distant future. Hello everyone, you on Tech Briefed channel. This is Tesla's Robotaxi, the culmination of a decade of promises, and the official story is seductive and simple. A cheaper, safer, more convenient way to get around the city. A world without traffic jams, without accidents, and with transportation costs plummeting to near zero. It's presented as the next logical step in our evolution, a clean, electric, autonomous utopia delivered to your doorstep. But this narrative, the one being celebrated by tech enthusiasts and investors, is dangerously incomplete. Because the vehicle you are looking at is not just a car, it is a Trojan horse, designed to quietly infiltrate and conquer our cities from the inside out. Its launch isn't just an update for the transport industry, it's a declaration of war on a century of urban planning, a multi-trillion-dollar real estate market, and the very concept of a public square. What if this car isn't here to save you money on your next ride? What if it's here to decide where you can live, how you work, and what your city will become?
Hello everyone, you on Tech Brief channel. This is Tesla's Robotaxi, the culmination of a decade of promises, and the official story is seductive and simple. A cheaper, safer, more convenient way to get around the city. A world without traffic jams, without accidents, and with transportation costs plummeting to near zero. It's presented as the next logical step in our evolution. A clean, electric, autonomous utopia delivered to your doorstep. It's presented as the next logical step in our evolution. A clean, electric, autonomous utopia delivered to your doorstep. But this narrative, the one being celebrated by tech enthusiasts and investors, is dangerously incomplete. Because the vehicle you are looking at is not just a car. It is a Trojan horse, designed to quietly infiltrate and conquer our cities from the inside out. Its launch isn't just an update for the transport industry. It's a declaration of war on a century of urban planning, a multi-trillion-dollar real estate market, and the very concept of a public square. What if this car isn't here to save you money on your next ride? What if it's here to decide where you can live, how you work, and what your city will become? So we return to the image.
To truly understand the scale of this disruption, you must first erase the image of a simple, electric taxi from your mind. This is not an evolution, it is a complete reinvention. Competitors like Waymo or Cruise operate small, controlled fleets in limited areas. They are tech companies running a service. Tesla's approach is radically different. The plan isn't to own a fleet of a few thousand vehicles. It's to activate a network of millions of privately owned Teslas, transforming them from personal assets into autonomous, revenue-generating units on a massive, decentralized grid. This isn't a taxi service, it's a global, self-organizing transportation infrastructure that can be switched on with a single software update. The true product isn't the ride itself, but the network. A network that learns, adapts, and optimizes itself with every mile driven, creating an insurmountable competitive moat. While others are building better taxis, Tesla is building a new form of public utility, one that it will own and control entirely. This distinction is the key to understanding the sheer scale of the chaos that is about to be unleashed upon the world's cities. The first shockwave will be felt not by city planners, but by millions of people whose livelihoods depend on the current system. The launch of the Tesla network will trigger the single largest and fastest job automation event in human history. The entire gig economy, built on the backs of drivers for Uber, Lyft, and countless taxi services, will be rendered obsolete almost overnight. Think about it, a robotaxi doesn't need a salary, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't take breaks, and its operating cost per mile is a fraction of a human-driven, gasoline-powered car. For ride-sharing companies, competing with this model is not just difficult, it is mathematically impossible. They will face a stark choice: attempt to build their own multi-trillion-dollar autonomous network from scratch, or go bankrupt. This isn't creative destruction in the classical sense. It's a sudden, brutal extinction event for an entire class of workers. And while consumers may celebrate the convenience and low prices, the economic fallout from erasing millions of jobs will send tremors through the entire service economy, long before the first robotaxi arrives on their street. But the gig economy is only the first casualty. The second, larger victim will be the very foundation of urban mobility, public transportation. For over a century, cities have been built around the central nervous system of subways, buses, and trains. This system, often subsidized and unprofitable, is seen as a public good, essential for connecting a city's population. The robotaxi will attack this model at its core. When you can summon a private, point-to-point vehicle for a cost that is competitive with, or even cheaper than, a bus ticket, why would you ever use public transport again? As ridership plummets, so will fare revenue, plunging city transit authorities into a catastrophic financial crisis. This will trigger a death spiral. To cover the budget deficit, they will be forced to cut services and raise fares, which in turn will drive even more people away. What happens to the urban poor, the elderly, and those who cannot afford a smartphone when the bus that connects them to jobs, healthcare, and their community simply stops running? The robotaxi promises a utopia of efficiency, but it threatens to create a new urban underclass, stranded in a city that no longer serves them. With transportation solved, the next frontier to be conquered is the city itself. The arrival of a fully autonomous fleet will fundamentally break and remake the multi-trillion-dollar urban real estate market. Consider this: up to 30% of the land in a modern city is dedicated to cars, for parking lots, garages, and on-street parking. What happens when this land is suddenly unlocked? When millions of cars no longer need to sit idle, but can either earn money or drive themselves to remote charging hubs, these vast expanses of asphalt become the most valuable development land in a generation. The very design of our homes and buildings will change. Who needs a two-car garage when your car doesn't live with you? This space can be converted into living quarters, offices, or rental units. Property values will be thrown into chaos. Real estate near now-defunct subway lines may plummet, while suburban homes, once undesirable due to long commutes, could skyrocket in value as the travel time becomes productive and effortless. This isn't just about convenience. This is a complete reshuffling of urban wealth and geography, a tectonic shift that will create new fortunes and bankrupt old ones. But the physical transformation of the city is only half the story. The true, hidden value of the robotaxi network is not in the movement of people, but in the acquisition of data. Every single vehicle in the network is a highly sophisticated, roving sensor, equipped with cameras, radar, and advanced processing units. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, this fleet is not just navigating, it is scanning, mapping, and analyzing every inch of the urban environment in real time. It logs traffic patterns, pedestrian density, road conditions, infrastructure decay, and even the commercial activity on every street. This data, when aggregated and analyzed by Tesla's AI, creates a God's eye view of the city, a living, breathing digital twin of unparalleled detail and accuracy. This urban intelligence is arguably more valuable than the entire transportation market combined. It can be used to optimize energy grids, plan logistics, predict crime, and even influence consumer behavior. Tesla is not building a car company. It is building an urban intelligence agency, and its currency is the data harvested silently from our streets. An autonomous fleet of millions of electric vehicles, driving and charging 24/7, represents an unprecedented new demand on our already strained urban power grids. This isn't a bug in the system, it's a strategic feature. The mass adoption of robotaxis will create an energy crisis in slow motion, forcing cities to fundamentally re-engineer their electrical infrastructure. And who is perfectly positioned to solve this crisis? Tesla. The company isn't just a leader in cars, it's a global powerhouse in energy storage through its Powerwall and Megapack products. The Robotaxi network creates the problem, and Tesla Energy sells the solution. Imagine a future where Tesla not only controls the flow of transportation in a city but also manages its energy load, deciding when and where to charge its fleet, storing power during off-peak hours, and selling it back to the grid during peak demand. This creates a level of vertical integration and control that is simply staggering. It's a closed-loop ecosystem where Tesla owns the vehicles, the network that controls them, and the energy infrastructure that powers them. It's the ultimate strategic moat. The technology may be ready, but society is not. The launch of the Robotaxi network will ignite the most brutal and complex regulatory war of the 21st century. This isn't just a product launch, it's a direct challenge to the authority of every city government on Earth. The battle will be fought on multiple fronts. First, safety and liability. Who is responsible when an autonomous vehicle crashes? The owner? The programmer? Taxi driver unions and gig economy advocates will lobby furiously to slow down or block the rollout, protecting millions of jobs. Third, and most importantly, is the battle for control of public space. Can a private corporation be allowed to deploy 1 million autonomous vehicles onto public streets without oversight? Cities will fight to impose taxes, demand data access, and set operating limits. This will be a messy, drawn-out conflict, pitting technological disruption against democratic governance in the fight for the future of our cities. As this new world takes shape, the most profound consequence may be a new form of social divide. The Robotaxi promises a utopia of seamless, efficient, and clean transportation, but this utopia will not be shared equally. It will likely create a two-tiered city. For the affluent and the tech-savvy, it will be a world of unprecedented convenience. A private, on-demand vehicle is always just a tap away, turning unproductive commute time into work or leisure. But for those left behind, the poor, the elderly, the less digitally literate, the reality could be a dystopian nightmare. As public transport systems wither from lack of funding and ridership, they will be left with fewer options, higher costs, and increasing isolation. This isn't just about convenience, it's about access to opportunity. When your ability to get to a job, a doctor's appointment, or a grocery store is dependent on a private, algorithmically controlled network, it creates a new and powerful form of inequality. The question we must ask is not just, can we build this technology, but should we? Is a city of perfect, unequal
On the stage, a sleek, futuristic vehicle with no steering wheel. It's presented as a product, a solution to the problems of traffic, pollution, and convenience. But it is so much more than that. It is the catalyst for a chaotic, unpredictable, and irreversible urban revolution. It promises a future of effortless mobility, but the true cost may be the very soul of our cities, their public spaces, their economic structures, and their social cohesion. The launch of the Robotaxi isn't the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new, uncertain chapter. A chapter that will force us to confront the true price of progress and decide what kind of future we are willing to build. If you believe that understanding these powerful forces is critical to navigating what comes next, then you're in the right place. Here at Tech Briefed, we uncover these stories every week. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. You won't just be getting content, you'll be getting a crucial advantage.